Well, welcome back to Journalism Media Week. It's time for talk number 2 in your schedule, and we've got a real treat for you here. I've just read the title that he's written down on his little autocue here, James, and it's quite interesting. How not to have a proper job, which certainly I've not had in quite a few years. So it's going to be an intriguing talk, definitely. He's currently head of video production at Opera North, and he's done all sorts of things over his career, which he's going to go through with you right now. Please, ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause, James Islip.
Cheers, Darren. Yeah, I got asked to submit the name for my talk ages ago, and I hadn't thought about it or written it, certainly. And after, well, obviously I wanted to talk to you guys about pathways or something and my journey from where you are to what I'm doing. And having thought about that a bit more, I thought a better name for the talk would be How to Avoid Having a Proper Job Since 2008. So let's go with that. As you'll hear about, I've done quite a lot in my career. I haven't done a lot of public speaking. Because I work in video production, I should have built a set or hired in an actor to do it for me. But yeah, it's just me. So normally my name pops up on the end credits and you don't actually see me, but I'm here today. So here we go. And I noticed that I'm nearly on first on a Monday morning, which is a bit like first band on at a music festival on a Sunday or something. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. I'm not a motivational speaker. I'm not a TV presenter. I'm out of my comfort zone a bit, but that's something I like to push myself to do from time to time. My idea for this talk is to break down what a career is a little bit more, give you quite an honest and open account of leaving university, starting first jobs, discussing some of the low points as well as some of the high points. So I've really tried to think about what was going through my head at various points in my career. So thanks for inviting me for the opportunity to do this. If you want to interrupt with a question, you can do. Please don't feel like you have to wait to the end. We've got some time at the end if you want, but yeah, just put your hand up, interrupt me. I really don't mind. Just for a bit of context, I was at university at the turn of the millennium. We didn't have Brexit to worry about or global pandemics. We did have this thing called the Millennium Bug, but that was navigated without any world-ending consequences quite easily. I hadn't used the internet before I started university. I didn't have an email address. I still had a tape Walkman. Leeds was pretty different then. Digital media was only just replacing analog media, so universities didn't have very good facilities at all. Nowhere in Leeds did, really. There weren't many music venues, no recording studios, hardly any rehearsal studios. There weren't that many places to go, even to get lunch. The city was a bit run down, really. The idea of Channel 4 being based in Leeds would just be a mad dream. A bit like an iPhone or social media or Boris Johnson being Prime Minister. But it was an interesting time for those reasons. There was a Labour government and it was a boom period for funding in the cultural sector. And it seemed to me a time full of opportunities because very simply there wasn't much going on. There weren't dozens of things every evening that you could go and attend. So it was an interesting time. And when I was in my third year at university, which was at Leeds College of Music, I'll give you the date if you like. It was March 2003. So I'm 40 years old, which I'm fine with. I barely even mention it. We had a guest speaker come in, which was like a similar thing to what's happening today, similar theme. He said, put your hand up if you would like to work in the music industry. And because we were music students, we put our hands up. And the follow-up line was, probably all of you will not end up working in the music industry. So I left that talk a bit confused, maybe a bit angry. I mean, who was he anyway? Who was that guy? Why even say that? And it kind of, when I got asked to do this talk, it was actually one of the first things that I thought about. Anyway, more on that later. I thought I'd just play you a quick video to give you a bit of a flavor about what I do, what I've done. So if we could have that, that'd be good.
You can read Craig's essay as a kind of spherical, rotating spiral of text.
Just to give you a bit of an overview, I was director of a company called Lumen for the last 10 years, which is an audio-visual organization based in Leeds. I'm a projectionist at Hyde Park Cinema. I've been a drummer in a lot of bands. I make music videos. I've worked for Light Night, BBC. I've worked for Foles, Elizabeth Price, Steve McQueen, and I'm currently the video production manager for Opera North. I'm 40 years old. I'm okay with that. I barely even mention it. And I went to school with Doctor Who. I recently started at Opera North, so I had to make a CV, obviously, and apply for the job, which is a good opportunity to reflect on what you are, what you do, what you've come from. So my sort of timeline, very briefly, I left university. I was really happy to leave university because all I wanted to really do was play drums. So I did that. And then I bought a really crappy van and we started touring. We started touring around England, around Europe. Got into filmmaking, like documenting what we were doing, trying to make music videos, and ended up getting a job with Lumen, where I was working on a lot of outdoor live production events, Light Night, stuff like that. I got into doing outdoor projection events, at first mainly just carrying equipment around, getting cold, getting wet, trying not to get an electric shock. Then we moved more into museum and gallery installation work, but with a focus on the video aspects of that. I progressed in the company, ended up running it for 7 years. We changed the focus a little bit where we became a support organization for artists in Leeds or organizations in Leeds who didn't have technical skills or video production skills. So we would provide that for people, you know, people like Leeds Film Festival, Light Night again, art galleries like the Hepworth in Wakefield, the Whitworth Gallery in Manchester, things like that. I got into being a film projectionist in my spare time, as more of a hobby really, but so I've done that part-time, something I really enjoy, really passionate about film, watching film, looking about how films are made. And then lockdown came. I had a bit of time away to sort of think about what I wanted to do next, and applied for the job at Opera North, which is basically just making videos. I make videos for their social media channels, promotional videos. We make video content for the shows, and we're starting to think about interesting ways of live streaming things, that kind of thing. So, sounds good, right? Quite linear. But there's things when you make a CV, a job application, that you don't put on there. So my hidden CV would be working in a biscuit factory, a call center, a building site. I was a plasterer for a while. I had a really corporate job for a management consultancy. I delivered wine. I've been a full-time dad at different points in my life. And these things don't make a lot of sense in the context of a CV and a cohesive career. But they're all kind of like part of the richness of my story, if you like. I think the glue that joins it all together is, you know, all those things and experiences are part of me. And I think it's just sort of figuring out your identity within that. So, you know, I do video production. I've got that clear in my mind, despite all the things that I have done. And I think deciding on what you are, or, you know, what you want to be is the most important thing that I think I've managed to do. So in terms of a few kind of the skill part of a CV, so I have ideas, believe it or not, some good ones, some terrible ones. But I think ideas are important in that they drive other things that you need along the way in your career, whether it's technical skills, communication skills, the ability to collaborate with other people. I think the idea will get you to those places. You could have all the technical skills in the world, but if you can't have an idea, if you don't have the purpose or a goal, the technical skills aren't going to get you very far. I think DIY has been a big thing for me, not as in doing jobs in your house, but, you know, making things happen for myself. I think if, you know, if I want to create something or make a project happen or an event or learn something, if there isn't an existing framework for that to happen, you know, I create one. For example, when I moved to Leeds, I just wanted to play some gigs, and there weren't many venues then. There wasn't a Brunel or a Belgrave or Hyde Park Book Club or O2. So we just used to make them happen. It might be in someone's house. It might be in the back room of a pub, you know, whatever we could find. And then, you know, I wanted to make a video, but I didn't have any cameras. I didn't have any skills, but, you know, that's what I wanted to do. So I just found ways of doing it. And I think the possibilities for that kind of thing are endless now with, you know, with the technology and range of platforms we have to engage with people. Don't get me wrong, some of these videos I made were really bad, unwatchable. Maybe no one was interested in them at all, or but then you do another little film, you write something, or maybe it's better, you learn from it. And I think sometimes you put yourself out there, maybe it's embarrassing afterwards, or you wish you hadn't, or but you've done something and there is value in it and it's yours and you've learned from it. And I still do that all the time. I try out new ideas, and I still make terrible things that I cringe about and stay awake thinking about and beating myself up over. But I think going through that, when it comes to big moments in your career, like you're commissioned for the first time, you're doing a job application, or you've got a really important project, whatever that might be, you've got the experience of, you know what has worked, you know what hasn't worked, you know what not to do again. So don't be afraid of doing something, because you'll always learn from it. So is there a question?
Yeah, you were saying that there was some stuff that you look back at and you kind of cringe at. Is that sort of gratifying to you to know that you've got better since producing that original content?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that, I don't know, I think like there's points in time, I think like moving job or applying for a new job, where you do get this time to sort of reflect on things. And it's nice to look back and pick out all the positives, and then you can form like a really kind of positive picture of your skill set, your experience, that kind of thing. And almost like doing a video editing job, you just filter out all the bad stuff that can go in the recycle bin. So yeah, I think like, in terms of you guys, what you're good at and what you are might be dead obvious to you now. And if so, that's great. It might not be. I'll give you an example from my own experience. So in the mid-2000s, I had a really boring office job. So I was going out touring all the time, coming home really late at night. I was always tired, hungover, going to work. I didn't try very hard in my day job. But for some reason, they kept promoting me. I kept getting more responsibility. I needed the job to support myself, and it started to take over. And I really started to question myself, like, what am I doing this for? Why am I taking notes in a job interview for the chief fire officer job in West Yorkshire? Or why am I counting all the parking spaces in all the car parks in the Manchester tram network? Or why am I listening to Radio 2 and my colleagues discussing things that don't interest me at all? Thought I was a filmmaker, or thought I was a musician, or I think, and this was a regular thing when I was younger, like I might go to a family gathering or something, and a boring uncle comes up to you and they say, what are you doing at the moment? And you say, oh, well, I'm trying to book a tour for my band in Spain, and I'm going to make a little documentary about it. And they'll say stuff to you like, do you make any money though? Do you make any money doing that? Or, I thought you had a proper job. I thought your dad said you worked in an office. And I think the point is that it's easy to find yourself in situations that are pretty far away, removed from what you thought you should be doing or what you imagine that you might be doing. And it's very easy to question yourself. But I think the point where I realized, what I was and what I wanted to be was really important. And I think I would say, don't let at any time the thing that pays your bills kind of define you. You know, you're a writer or you're a filmmaker, you're still a professional. I would say believe in yourself. I think that when I did that, my career changed for the better. You know, if people ask me what I do, and I used to say, well, I'm in an office job, but I also drum in a band. I just started saying, you know, I play the drums. That's what I do. I started to believe in myself. That was 2008, the year I last had a proper job. So there we go. 5 years after I left university. I'd like to say a little bit about mental health, because I'm someone who has suffered from depression at various times in my life, and sometimes this has been work related, maybe born out of frustration with my situation or stress caused by something that isn't going that well, or anxiety about the future. And hard to say this, but I don't respond well to seeing other people do well, even though not that I'm not happy for them, because I am, but I really beat myself up for not being better myself, I guess. And I think these are quite normal feelings. If I could go back to my younger self, I'd sort of explain that and, you know, say to that person, try and switch off and not worry about the future too much, and enjoy the moment that you're in a bit more, and focus on the things that you can do well. I'm also quite aware about my privilege as a white middle class man, and although some of my family are conservative and unsupportive of any sort of interesting lifestyle choice, I have an amazingly supportive close family, and my mum is someone who's had an amazing career on her own terms, and she supported me by giving me the belief that I can do whatever I want to do. And although I've always been able to make ends meet by whatever work I've been doing, I recognize how lucky I am. And I recognize how much easier my journey has been than a lot of other people in life. One thing I try and do is I don't take this for granted. And the older I get, I focus a lot on ways in which I can enable other people, especially those who haven't had the sort of opportunities that I've had. That's a big priority for me at work, in terms of things that I commission, people I want to work with. So that's just something I try and do on a day-to-day basis. I think one of the main things that's helped me in my career is critical reflection, and that's part of what I'm trying to get across, I guess, in this talk, is that I've been quite good at being able to step back at certain points and really think about what I'm doing. You know, what works about this project? Why did it go well? Who did it go well for? Who didn't like it? What would I do differently next time? And if I'm not able to ask these sort of questions for myself, I've got people I can talk to, peers, friends, colleagues. I think making the time for this critical reflection is really one of the most important bits of advice I can give, which doesn't have to be a formal thing, like you could just meet a friend in the pub and talk about a project, or, that's kind of how I like to do it anyway. I really like networking. I like to get to know people. I stay in touch with people. I like to share what I'm doing. I think this is all really important stuff, especially if you're freelancing or trying to establish yourself. I think there are skills that you can learn. I found it really hard when I was younger. I was shy. I lacked a lot of confidence. I've worked hard at that. I think networking is a little bit of a sort of cynical word, and I don't mean it in like a sort of slimy way. I genuinely like to build relationships with other people. You know, just because it's work, it doesn't mean you have to approach it differently from other things in life. You know, talking about like friendships, peers, partners, all different kinds of relationships. Really, it will all help you in your life and your career. I like to collaborate and initiate things. I like to create opportunities for other people. I think all these things will benefit your career, and I think if I had to pick one thing out, I think that's what I'm really good at, sort of creating opportunities for other people, and I think that's maybe why I've got to where I am. Sorry.
Do you think it's a lot different today? Because I'm 36, so it's the same era, and obviously going into the media industry now, you've got so much more at your fingertips, so you can promote yourself a lot more. So you're saying obviously you struggle with your mental health, because possibly you couldn't get there. Do you find it's a lot easier now for younger people to get there a lot quicker?
I mean,
The internet?
maybe I can't really speak for younger people necessarily, but I think I can see it. Like, I can see both sides to it. I can see that there's a lot of opportunities out there. You know, some of the stuff I was talking about earlier with like what Leeds is like now, the amount of creative jobs out there in Leeds is just, you know, 1,000 times better than it was. But then you've also got the pressure of stuff like social media, seeing what other people are doing. That in turn puts pressure on yourself. So I can sort of see two sides to that, really. I think.
I suppose it's easier to build a network though now, because you don't have to do it necessarily face to face or through the post.
Yeah, I think so, definitely. Yeah, I think so. But I think maybe it's hard to build like a genuine connection online. I don't know. It's not how I sort of like to work, or and I've not got a lot of experience of, you know, online projects. I think throughout my career, everything I've done is pretty hands-on, you know, working in venues or spaces and going into production environments, or I mean, it'll be interesting. A lot of my new job is online at Opera North, so it'd be interesting to see, you know, if there's like a shift in me, or I can kind of see there's pros and cons, I think. Yeah. So yeah, I think I'm kind of done, actually. I guess I was maybe give a thought to the guy who did the talk at my university. Did I use his words to fire me up, to drive me whenever I was down? No, I don't think I did. To be honest, I didn't even probably think about it since that day till I was asked to do this talk, really. But so was it helpful? No. And this talk may well prove to be unhelpful for you as well. But it did make me realize that I'm still in touch with a lot of people from my course, and they all work in the music industry, or at least the cultural sector. You know, are they rich or famous? Probably not, but they all have something really interesting going on. So I'll leave you with that positive message. I think the opportunities are out there, and if I can make it happen, I think you can. And to my boring uncle at a family gathering, no, I've not had a proper job since 2008, and I have a really fun job that I love. Sorry, question.
Yeah, would you say it's like the old saying of it's not what you know, it's who you know in the industry? Do you think that saying is still apparent in today's media?
Yeah, I do. And again, that's unfortunate in some ways, because when you are trying to establish yourself and get going, there can be situations where things do seem like a completely closed shop. But that's why I talked a little bit about, you know, making opportunities for yourself sometimes, because you might not be able to get in with certain things, especially when you're up and coming. So, you know, if there's something you want to do, or there's a type of project you want to work on, I would just say, just try and make it happen for yourself. And then, you know, you're creating opportunities for yourself where you might get to meet people, and you can take it from there, really. But it is helpful to know people. That's for definite. So yeah, please come and check out stuff I'm doing at Opera North. There's lots of interesting content online, education stuff. There's a music venue called Howard Assembly Rooms that's just reopened that has a really interesting program. So please have a look at that. And also check out Lumen, who I used to work for. They've got some great projects to look at on the website, but they also have resources for emerging artists, video makers. They've got video editing facilities that are really cheap and accessible. So yeah, please check that out, and thanks for listening.
I was just going to say, like, when you kind of list all the things you've done, I think it can kind of sound sometimes like, oh, I just went to this and I moved to this and moved to this. What's the best way you found to, like, find those opportunities? Because I assume they can just, like,
yeah, I think, yeah, I know I don't want to come across as flippant, like, oh, you know, you make a music video and then all of a sudden you work for the BBC or something. You know, very much in the earlier days of working on bigger projects, I was literally unloading vans, standing around in the rain, just kind of doing the you know, the harder end of the job. And you just get to know people, and within those projects, opportunities will arise. You know, maybe someone doesn't turn up one day who was doing live video editing. You put yourself forward for it. I don't know, like there's lots of different ways. I think that a good example would be like video work that I've done in museums and galleries. So for example, I got an opportunity to work at the Henry Moore Institute in Leeds, just doing a really small video installation that was like on a small monitor in an art gallery. Didn't really think anything of it as in itself. It was quite an easy, simple job to do. But then all of a sudden, because people in that gallery had moved on to other places, or, you know, the way that they networked together, other museums and galleries were contacting me and proposing much more in-depth, interesting projects, which then was quite a new world to me. And luckily they went well. And then you go up to the next level of projects. And then I got to work on one of Steve McQueen's video installations, again, very much as like an assistant to someone who was a lot more experienced. And then the next time he did something, you know, I was then the experienced person on the next project. And, you know, that I'm not talking about the space of like 4 weeks or something. That was probably from, you know, 2010 to 2019, you know, like a 9-year period. And I think sometimes I think that's why it's always important to sort of say yes to opportunities. Because I mean, I wouldn't have predicted that small bit of work in that one gallery then, you know, opened up this whole world. And it certainly didn't happen overnight. But you know, that's just the kind of thing that a small opportunity can lead you to, really.
what would you say is the standout moment in your career so far?
I don't know, really. I've done loads of things that I'm really proud of. I mean, I worked doing the video on like Foles' first really big tour, when they started playing, sort of 10,000 capacity plus venues. That was definitely like a big step up for me. I've worked with them for a lot of years, for when they were playing, like they played at like the Fenton pub in Leeds, for example, to about 20 people. So having that relationship with someone, and getting to that sort of level, that was really fulfilling. Learned so much from doing that. I think also through my work at Lumen, I've probably managed to create jobs and employment for, at least 30 or 40 people in Leeds in the last sort of decade. I think that has been a big part of my career, creating opportunities for other people. I think that has its own stresses, but it also has its own rewards. And I think that has been really, really fulfilling as a thing, as much as, any particular project I've worked on, really. Yeah.
What has working at Lumen Arts taught you as just a professional, really?
That's a good question. I think I'm not particularly good at marketing a company, or coming up with a brand or pushing it in that sort of way. So the way I built that business was actually just by doing like a really good job, and just making sure that you're doing everything you can to the sort of highest standard. And I'm not saying everything goes well, it might not do, but I do think that we got a reputation for doing high quality work, and I think that over time is one of the best ways of growing a business, or even yourself as like a freelancer. I think that it's just, word of mouth, perhaps the wrong sort of expression, but that kind of thing, your reputation grows. The better you do your projects, the better your reputation is. And I think that was why that was a success in that period.
Hello, this is more of a music industry related. So obviously when MTV started, the music video became a massive thing. But now MTV doesn't really play music videos anymore. So what role do they have in the modern music industry?
Sorry, just repeat that question, sorry.
What role do music videos have in the modern music industry now?
That's an interesting one. I think it's obviously they're used to promote whatever online. So whether that's an upcoming tour, a record coming out, it's definitely not to sell singles anymore. I think that a lot of artists use videos to sort of cement their visual identity, really. And I think the sort of styles of videos that they make tend to be very specific now towards the sort of genre that they exist in. And I think there are so many musical genres out there. I think speaking to your particular audience is really, really important. And I think the music video does that nowadays. So you're basically saying to people, this is what we are. And it's just about their visual identity more than anything else. And they're fun to make as well. Okay, cool.
Thank you very much for joining us today, James. Can we have a big round of applause?
Cheers.